Ask any teacher or any administrator in urban areas in public schools, and they will tell you the biggest challenge they face is the challenge of lack of sustained reading in their students. The students don't show any interest in reading, and this has unfortunately it has crept beyond the boundaries of just the urban areas because of the ubiquity of these devices, very attractive devices. Students in non-urban areas are also now falling prey, and even the adults who used to read a lot are unable to concentrate for a sustained amount of time to any kind of reading. And this is causing a problem not only of the focus, but is also resulting in the lack of informed knowledge of these people in when it comes to employment or for their careers. And the reason seems like is obvious to me, especially the people who deal with technology, especially the interactive technology with the human computer interaction. You realize, especially in games, if you realize that the gamers engage the multiple senses of of gamers. They would engage their vision. They would engage their auditory senses, and they will also engage their tactile senses. But when it comes to reading, especially paper-based reading, it got its own limitations. It's not only that there's only one sense, that visual text that the students are reading, whether this is a paper-based reading or digital reading. In both cases, it's just one sense that is being engaged. And on top of that, if there is a problem with vocabulary, even that sense of reading is just like looking. It's not reading. It's just like looking at those words without knowing the meanings, or without knowing the context. So you lose the sustainability of thoughts. You lose the sustainability of your of the narrative if you just if you're reading without engaging multiple senses. So the technology that I'm going to show you today, it helps to engage more than one senses in terms of reading. And I'm glad technology has of late has evolved significantly, and now we can engage at least two senses. It used to be only one, but I believe now we can engage at least two senses. So let me give you an example here. And okay, so I have opened this Microsoft Word on an iPad, and if you look at this, this is just a blank document. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy something from another document. Let's say here's something that I was working on. It's a summary of one of the books that I recently read. So I just copied that document, and I'm going to go back into the good old Microsoft Word, and I paste it in here. Okay, so here is the text. And now, next what I'm going to do, and by the way, although this is on an iPad right now, but you can use the same technology even even on a computer, or on a desktop device. It's the same thing. So you open up a Word, anything that you want students to read, or anything that you want them to take a look at, they will be able to see this. So I'll go back here to View. So you on a computer also, you will click on View, and here's an option. If you look at the right at the top, it tells you Immersive Reader. I'm going to turn this on, Immersive Reader. Look what it did. It did two things. First of all, it changed the font, and the spacing of individual words on this document. So now what's going to happen if I could move myself further out of here on this document. Now I'm going to convert this into an immersive reading environment. And look what's going to happen. Watch.
While writing stories is an art of creation, retelling them is the art of procreation. Without retelling, stories will vanish. Just as with even a brief lull in procreation, humankind will come to a halt without the procreation of storytelling stories. Wherefore, in the ancient tradition of retelling stories, I tell you the tale of Tony Webster and Adrian Finn, which Julian Barnes told us in his novel, The Sense of an Ending. Three friends and one begin their life's journey, like many of us, at a school in England. And this is where some...
Okay. Now, in this example, you have seen what it's done. It has added not only the visual, that I'm looking at the text and I'm also listening to the same story on a consistent speed. Reading alone is of no use unless there's a sense of accomplishment in completing a text or a book or a novel that the student's reading. That that sense of completing a novel or a story is a big motivation for further reading. Uh, Let me give you an example. This was an example from Microsoft Word. You cut and paste any text, just like a teacher. You copy a text from a story, a short story, or an article, and then you can be more confident that students would be able to complete, because what is driving their reading is the consistency and the fluency of the audio that goes along with it. Let me give you another example. Now, the second example is from Kindle. This is now a Kindle book. This is a War and Peace, and from War and Peace, I'm going to play the same thing and watch what happens.
Exclaimed the mother. Chapter 17. After Anna Mikhailovna had driven off with her son to visit Count Cyril Vladimirovich Bezyukov, Countess Rostova sat for a long time all alone, applying her handkerchief to her eyes. At last she rang. "What is the matter with you, my dear?" she said crossly to the maid, who kept her waiting some minutes. "Don't you wish to serve me? Then I'll find you another place."
Now, in this example, what you might have noticed, that a complete line or a sentence is being highlighted. This is an equivalent of actually following a text with your finger or a pencil tip. This is also helping you in focusing better and also keeping a consistent speed. And that consistent speed is very important, not only to keep the thought process together, is also important for the completion of a chapter or a page or a book. So all of these dynamics in reading, in addition to just visual, you're adding the audio. Especially Kindle version has I think advanced it a lot more than the Microsoft version, where I showed before. And by the way, the Microsoft software and the Microsoft Word, the program behind it, that is an open source. I believe Microsoft allows you to embed that technology into any app that you design. You can use their technology, what we call immersive reading technology, in your app or in your program. So this is what is immersive reading all about: to help you focus, to get an immersive environment in reading, and take you beyond that. Now, I just want to show you one more thing. Let's go back to uh, the other example that we were looking at. Let's maybe it has over here too. Let's say I want to look at. I highlighted the word handkerchief. It gave me the definition. So let's say if I want to know the definition of this word, I got the definition. Well and dandy, but that's not enough. Let's do the Google search on that. And in Google search, what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at the images of handkerchief. So now I found a new word, and I'm not only looking at the word, I'm also adding the visual dynamic of that word, which will help me memorize or internalize that word more than just looking at a word. So, anytime there's a word, this is a great example. Humiliation is giving you, humiliating is giving you the definition. Then you go for a Google search and you look at the images, and now you're looking at humiliating images. You're looking at these different visuals of humiliating experiences, and that enhances your comprehension, and that also helps you retain what you read and what the new words that you come across. And the same thing is available in that the word immersive reading that I was talking about. Let's say the word jousting. Let's select jousting, and I believe we'd have to get the word first correct because it doesn't allow you plural of jousting. So I'm going to select, I'm going to do smart lookup, and look at that. It's giving me the definition. It's also
Joust.
how to pronounce it,
Joust.
and also it's showing me the images of jousting. So this way, I have now addressed or attacked this word from multiple modes. I've looked at the audio version of that, how to pronounce it, and then I've looked at visually how it is spelled, and then I got the images. So now I can retain it far more than just um, just plain reading of text. So I would highly recommend this immersive reading practice with your students. Start with small articles, couple of paragraphs, and let the students follow along with the audio. So anytime now I buy a book, I try to buy a book, especially because I do a lot of digital reading, and most of my reading now has the digital text and the audio simultaneously. And there are many options there, uh, like Hoopla and digital libraries. They allow you to borrow the text as well as the audio version of a book. And that is what is needed to attack reading from at least two different senses. We are looking at the sense of imagery, vision, and also we are looking at the auditory senses. So let's practice and try immersive reading through Word or through Kindle or any other app that allows you immersive reading experience and see the difference. It has made a significant difference in the amount of reading I have done lately. I've been able to read through longer text novels of immense size and scope with the help of this audio and text combined. Let's try this, and we'll talk about um, the further immersive experiences of education technology in our next video. Until then, bye bye. I'm Dr. Saleem, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.